So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to find inverse of a function. So first, let's write down the notation for inverse function. So for inverse function, we use the following notation. We use f to the -1 of x. Well, that means you're talking about the inverse function. So we're looking for this inverse function for the given function f of x. So there are steps that you need to go through when you're looking for this inverse function. So let's write down the steps and then we'll do the example. So first step is to replace f of x with y. So you just rewrite f of x as y. So you have the following. You have now y equals 4 minus 3x. Once you have done that, your second step is to interchange x and y, meaning y will become x and x will become y. So that will give us x is now equal to 4 minus 3y. So that's step number 2. And then the next step is to solve for y. So from this equation, we're going to go ahead and solve for y. So first I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. So that would give us x minus 4 is equal to negative 3y. And the next step is to divide by negative 3 on both sides. So that gives us 4 over 3 minus x over 3. So I just switched the order, and that is equal to y. And the last step is to replace y as f inverse of x. So we have found our formula that f inverse of x is equal to 4 over 3 minus x over 3. So that is our formula for the inverse function for this function f of x. Or if you want, you can also write them using the same fraction. So you have f inverse of x is equal to 4 minus x over 3, since they have same denominators. Any of these are fine. So now that we know the steps, let's do another example. So here's our second example. We're looking for the inverse function of g. So we're looking for what is g inverse of x. What is that formula? So we'll follow the steps. So the first step was to call f of x equals y. Well, in this case, we're using the notation g, which is totally fine. It's just the notation. So we're going to call g of x is equal to y. So we have y is equal to 2x minus 1 over 3. And then we interchange x and y. So then we have now x is equal to 2y minus 1 over 3. And now we solve for y. So we'll multiply both sides by 3. We have 3x is equal to 2y minus 1. And then add 1 to both sides. So that would give us 3x plus 1 is equal to 2y. And lastly, we divide both sides by 2. So that would give us 3x plus 1 over 2 is equal to y. And once you have finished solving for y, you just rewrite y is the f inverse. In this case, it's the g inverse. So hence we have our inverse function as 3x plus 1 over 2. And if you want, you can separate the fractions, but the idea is the same. Okay. Let's try another example. So here's another function, and we want to find what is f inverse of x for this given function. So we'll do the same thing. We'll call f of x is y is equal to 2x over 5 minus x. And then we change x and y. So we have now x is equal to 2y over 5 minus y. And next we start solving for y. So let's go ahead and multiply both sides by 5 minus y. So we have x times 5 minus y is equal to 2y. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and distribute the x because we're solving for y, so you want to isolate y. So by distributing x on the left-hand side, we have 5x minus xy is equal to 2y. And then I want to group y terms together, so I'm going to go ahead and add xy on both sides so that I have all terms involving y on the same side. So this will give me 5x on the left is equal to 2y plus xy. Well, now that the right side, both terms has y in common, so I can factor out a y, so that gives me 2 plus x, and equals to 5x on the left side. And lastly, I am able to solve for y by dividing it by 2 plus x on both sides, and that gives us the formula y is equal to 5x over 2 plus x. I switched the sides, but that's totally fine. And now we call y is our inverse function, so we have f inverse of x is equal to 5x over 2 plus x. So that's our formula for the inverse function. Okay, let's try one more example. So here I have another function g. I'm looking for its inverse formula. So we're looking for what is g inverse of x. So again, the usual, we'll call g of x is y. So we have y is equal to the cube root of 4 minus x plus 2. And then we interchange x and y. So we have now x is equal to the cube root of 4 minus y plus 2. And next we're going to solve for y. So let's go ahead and subtract 2 first from both sides. So that gives us x minus 2 is equal to cube root of 4 minus y. And now we need to cancel the cube root because we're still trying to isolate y. So let's go ahead and cube on both sides. So what is that going to give us? Well, on the right hand side, the cube root and the cube will cancel. So that will give us 4 minus y. And on the left side, we still have x minus 2 to the third power. And next, I can go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. So that gives us x minus 2 to the third power minus 4 is equal to negative y. And lastly, to solve for x, I'm just going to go ahead and divide by negative 1. Or you can think of it as multiplying both sides by negative 1. It doesn't matter. So we can go ahead and we have negative x minus 2 cubed plus 4 is equal to y. So hence, our inverse function is going to be 4 minus x minus 2 cubed. Again, I switched the order on the left side because it's nicer to write the negative expression after the positive expression. Just a standard way of expressing our answers. Here we go. So that's how we find inverse functions.